Salutations, respected viewers. This is George from Ireland. I'm going to do another turncoat debate to show you what it's like and to briefly praise two points of view on an issue, inheritance. So the motion would be this House would abolish inheritance, all right, of property, that is obviously. So now imagine the chair has introduced me and then I will get going with my speech. So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, this is the motion that this House would abolish property. And I'm here to propose this motion which stands in my name. So, what is property? Well, obviously it could be immovable property, land, houses. It could be chattels, as in jewelry, furniture. It's money in the bank, as well as let's say, the title deeds to some patent or some intellectual property, any inheritance from that. And we say that individuals should not be allowed to inherit that, not from your parents, grandparents, anything like that. We would allow it for the lifetime of a spouse. Obviously, companies can continue going on, or things which are individuals, organizations can continue owning property, but not private individuals. Why? Well, where does this come from? Because in a sense, property is theft. We don't object to people purchasing from shops and owning things like that. But it's like land and houses and so forth, because there is a finite amount of land, natural resources, the minerals under the soil. They are limited, they cannot be replaced, and they are running out. Remember, we all started in the Rift Valley in Africa 3 million years ago. We spread out. Somebody said, this bit is mine, and claimed property, which really should be the property of all. So that's how it is acquired, is people simply staking a claim, fighting each other, pushing each other off, and later within this crime gives people the right to own property. So we're not opposed to people owning personal effects, inheriting clothes. So we'd have a limit that items are worth under $10,000 could be heritable, things of sentimental value, things of that nature, but not houses, not billions of dollars in the bank. So why are we against this? Well, because obviously it's regressive and it's grossly unfair. We're often told the profit motive pushes people to strive for more. Okay, but if you inherit a fortune, you're not propelled to achieve anything. You can become an aristocratic drone, a locust, just living off the work of others. You've got your money in the bank. You've got wealth management. You can be a trust fund baby. These trustafarians often laze around and do nothing. And if they didn't have any money, they'd go out and get a job and create wealth and actually be more satisfied people as well. Often they have all sorts of substance abuse problems, wealth fatigue syndrome, by just having too much wealth, having nothing to strive for. I've known some of these super wealthy people who are set up with huge patrimonies to inherit. And they would say, I never need to pass an exam, I never need to get a job. And they would waste their lives and often become addicted to drugs and gambling. So we would prevent them inheriting this burden, and obviously the property could revert to the state, the land, the huge amounts of money in the bank. They couldn't inherit, let's say, more than $10,000, artwork, jewelry, things of that nature, and then be used to help the neediest. People are dying avoidably in the world because of they can't afford life-saving medicines, and it is screamingly immoral that we should have some people living with billions of dollars while other people die in agony, and we could very easily save them. We could spend this money to improve the environment, to move to cleaner transport, things like that, provide clean water for people. There's so much suffering in the world could easily be relieved if it wasn't for the extreme greed of a tiny few. And what's worse about this situation every year is that more and more wealth is in fewer and fewer hands. So the top 1% are gaining a larger and larger proportion of the world's wealth. And it is flagrantly immoral. If you've got any decency at all, you would recognize that. So these people don't need all these billions, and money doesn't guarantee them happiness, whereas penury does guarantee absolute misery. So we don't allow debt to be inherited. Why should we allow wealth to be inherited? This is about social justice. This is about using the earth's resources to care for the neediest. So it is not fair that some people inherit such staggering amounts of money, and that's why it ought to be redistributed amongst those in dire need of their suffering being relieved. And these people who inherit money, This is money unearned by work in their lifetime. It could be their parents, it could be several generations before. They don't strive for anything. So these heirs need to be pushed to actually accomplish something in their lives. That's how we would administer it. I have done. So imagining I'm now the opposition speaking, and I would have been introduced by Mr. Chair, and now I shall rise to my feet. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my humble duty to outline the case for the opposition, because we've heard the proposition's preposterous proposal valiantly put, and I've got to take my hat off to someone who attempts to advocate for a completely nonsensical and unworkable policy. Well, people try to earn money, achieve it in all senses. Why? For themselves, also for their children and their other descendants, for collateral members of their family, siblings, and so forth. This is about family values. Humans all belong to families. Humanity is heritable, and that's why goods should be heritable as well. You set a limit of $10,000. Even you are not actually against inheriting property. Why 10,000? Why not 11,000 or 9,000 or $1 billion for that matter? There is no difference of principle. Sentimental value. A house has sentimental value. You're given exemption for sentimental value. People invest their feelings in their house. Okay? Your house has witnessed all the vagaries of time and family feuds and so forth. It's totalitarian what they're proposing. Only the most viciously cruel and oppressive regimes would possibly seek to implement such a mutton-headed and savage policy. It is cruel to take away people's heirlooms. It's just unworkable. Can you think of any society that has not tried to abolish freedom and yet has attempted to abolish property? It's precisely because the state doesn't control everything, that the state is limited, is kept in its place, and doesn't intrude overmuch into the private sphere. And your policy would be easily evaded. A wealthy person would simply grant his or her real property and movables to their heirs in their lifetime, so that when the wealthy person dies, on paper, he or she is impecunious, and it's the children who already have vast wealth. How are you so sure that the state is benevolent? How can you be certain that this will be used wisely and for the benefit of those who are in poverty, as you claim? We can't be sure of that. It may well yet be used to line the pockets of corrupt politicians and bureaucrats. So away with this demagoguery of eating the rich. This will do nothing to solve the world's problems. So let me go over again my grounds for opposing this monstrous and unjust motion. Because it would ruin the profit motive to strive, because it would be violative of the very notion of personal liberty, because it's an all-out attack on family values, and because it is simply impossible to implement such a policy without introducing a brutal totalitarian regime. And that is why I urge the House to reject this scurrilous and shameful motion.